Welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is June 22nd, 2023. Bender, how are you this morning?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Another day, another adventure. It's funny. It's like about 10 minutes before data came out, the jobs numbers and some of the other data that was released this morning. I was sitting there going, it's like, if I knew the exact print that was going to come out on these numbers, if I knew exactly what they were, would I be able to properly position myself for whatever move was going to come of the numbers? Like legitimately,
and your answer to that,
and the answer is no, because
correct,
right? And the answer is no, because it's like, okay, so if unemployment looks like it's spiking, does that mean that the economy is breaking down and the narrative is still steadfast and higher for longer? Or does that mean that the exact opposite? So it's good news, bad news, bad news, good news. It's like we have no indication, at least to my mind, to my brain space, as far as, how this data is supposed to work with the market. Do we need unemployment to spike in order for the market to take it, be like, okay, cool. So rates aren't going to go higher. We move higher. But then does that put us back in the position of talking about stagflation as far as, higher unemployment, higher inflation with very little room to be able to navigate? It's like this never-ending weird little story of what and how. It's very weird, Bender. It's also really weird. I went back and I kind of went back.
Well, and then add to that balance the is priced in.
Is priced in.
Like is bad news good news? Is good news bad news? But what's priced in? What's not?
Yeah. Right. But what's priced in and into what being priced in? It's like when you see Tesla and Nvidia kind of get kicked around a little bit, that have run, you see Apple, fairly stable, playing in between 180 and 185. It's like what's priced in and what's not. Then you look at the Bitcoin over there that decided to get zooted on steroids. It's kind of interesting. It's very interesting. Charts have been interesting. Why don't you tell us about the charts? Because there's really nothing. It's like China's on holiday. They're apparently butthurt because Biden calls Xi a dictator, which I don't know what else you call him. But yeah, that's about all I got. Oh, one other thing. Bank of England, but I think maybe this will go back to the overall, what's good and what's bad. Bank of England raised 50 basis points, which was wildly unexpected for them to do that. But we continue to hear more hawkish tone coming out of the central bankers. Canada, Europe. It's like, I'd say America, but Powell is such a fucktard. It's like, Lord knows what he's going to say from one second to the next. But it would appear that, they want to continue. Okay, one thing is for certain: rate cuts are not in their view right now. They do not see that happening. Globally, they do not see. Even Turkey, who's been dealing with 800% inflation, they're like, well, I guess we'll finally raise now. The only one who's standing on an island going all good, homie, is Japan. And you really wonder how much longer that can last over there with the Japan. So with all that, seeing that data and narrative continues to be a clusterfuck of dumbfuckery, a cornucopia, if you will, let's do some of these charts and see where we are. Oh, look, it's a wedge that keeps on falling. Now what, Bender?
All right. Yeah. Well, okay, where do we start? Let me go. Okay, we're on a 2 hour right here. I've got some stuff on here that that I think is meaningful, along with sort of a key level that I'm looking at, which is this 4378. But obviously, earlier in the week and late last week, even we were kind of talking about some of these levels that had been left behind, right? And this candle's low here from the 15th. We wicked it just a tick below here, a couple ticks below in the London session. So again, this is a 2 hour, but you can see that 43.94 right in here that we just barely took it, and you'll see it when I zoom in a little bit closer. So you've got this candle's low right here, 43.8375, and one right before it, 43.82. This area down in here, you can see this fair value gap here. And let me zoom into a 60-minute here. You can kind of see these two candles here where it was very one-sided price action. This area in here is very interesting to me, also because this most recent move here, the 618 falls right inside that's at 43.7825. Real quick, if I zoom out a little bit further, we've also got the fibs of the bigger move here.
What,
and
what
50%
time
of
frame
that
is
is down at 43.25. This is a 4 right now.
Okay.
Just so you can kind of see where that comes from.
So it's fallen out of its upward channel.
Yeah, I mean, that happened day before yesterday. We kind of dropped below that. That was on the 20th. On Tuesday. So I just wanted to show kind of the sort of bigger picture here. 50% retracement of this the most recent bigger move here is down at 43.25. So I'll keep that kind of in the back of my mind, knowing that if we do go back to kind of fill in some of these candles, you know, we could potentially see, you know, move down into that area. You got this old new week opening gap right here, 43.50. But kind of the first big level for me that I'm interested in is right down here around that 40. So I would expect if we come down here and we take 382, that I wouldn't be surprised to at least see a bounce in here. How big of a bounce, you know, I don't know. We'll have to see kind of what the price action looks like. But, you know, Tuesday when we said we come down and test 40, was it 44.11, we expect to see a bounce. And we sure as shit bounced, didn't we? We bounced and then made up all the losses from that move down. That was right here at 44.10. So this is a 15-minute. Came down, we tapped that 44.10 and just right back up to where that drop started after breaking that trend line. So, you know, if we make our way down again, let's say down to that 43.77, 43.78, kind of right in here, I would be expecting that we get some sort of bounce in there.
So how many handles?
As far as level, that is 17, 18 from here.
Okay, so
Now
still
I don't
SPY
necessarily know
above
that it
430.
stops, but
Yeah.
yeah. I don't. know that it necessarily stops right there, but if you were short, let's say you get short on a break of the London session lows here, 43.92.75, 43.93. Let's say we get that break, recheck, it acts as resistance, and you take that short. If you get that move, down to 43.81.75, you've got to look at the fact that, okay, right in here, I would expect to see, some support and potentially look to, take some off and reposition. I wouldn't be holding it, holding full size position if you get that break. As far as levels above go, again, 15-minute. You can see, let me zoom in on this a little bit. You had this candle's high right here. That's 44.04. It got taken by one tick here and then pulled back. So, that has been taken. If we get a move back up and over 44.04, then I would look to 44.08 half, and then that Asia session high up here, 44.13 half. A line right there. So that would be, if we reverse this and start pushing back, those are the levels that I would be looking at. But until it changes, the trend is still down. The 60-minute candles, we looked at talk about hourly candles are still going down. So until that changes, I have to assume that we are still looking for some of these levels.
So, am I wrong in thinking that worst case, there's about 140, 130, anywhere between 50 and 130 points more down on the S&P before, at least technically, we could see like a pretty substantial rebound? I know that's a pretty big range, but that a couple of these breakout levels are never really tested. Especially
Right.
that one, it's like you can't really call that one where whatever that yellow thing is over there. We never really came down and played there.
Yeah, I mean, really, anything in here between 25.75 and 42.85.75, anything in here is fine.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
So if we said 300, okay, what's that? 100 down from here. So yeah, you're probably looking at, if it does want to pull, down in here, I think you're 100, 120. That's pretty accurate.
All right.
Worst
All right.
case.
You got anything
If
else?
it falls, then we got bigger problems. The only other part that I have, you said you want to look at Microsoft a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Microsoft
morning.
was some of that flow was really interesting and really strong. And software, it's like you can say the same about Adobe, even though they've kicked around Adobe a little bit. That software space over there, if that's what we want to call it, is getting some activity. And I think we saw a little bit of it on some of those initial drawdowns. Microsoft was running against the market. Adobe was stabilizing against the market on one of the last drawdowns. So I don't know if that's could potentially being played out and used as some type of flight to safety, but the money definitely was sneaking in to Microsoft and some really, really nice lines into Adobe yesterday. So yeah, no, walk us through this. What you got?
Well, just looking at, let me go out to daily here first. Turn off so we don't see all these earning and dividend markers, but just big here. Obviously, this was the COVID low right in here to ATH. The rest of the market did, right? Back. This one came down to 618, whereas a lot of the others, 50% retracement, but came down to 618 and then pushed up from there, back above, and actually above its all-time high, right? So, looking at this move, the 1272 extension is up at 407.71. That would kind of be if it wants to, really make that sort of next move higher, that's kind of the area that we would be targeting. If we zoom in a bit, obviously we see that, okay, we made that high, we came up, back up to it, and retook it briefly before pulling back. So throwing fibs on this the more recent, bigger picture move here, 50% retracement of that, 285.86, which is obviously that 50 points or so off of current levels. If it really decides to pull back, you've got that gap right in there as well. That would be a potential buy zone. If you're looking at, like, I don't want to buy it up here. It's a little bit off its highs, but if you're looking for, if you're not in it and you're looking for a good area to, potentially pick it up, you can see there's a couple gaps in here, right? 319, 317, 320 area. Right in here, there's a gap, and a bigger gap down here, 285, 8, middle of that gap, and that would be that 50% placement. As far as, if we zoom in and look at areas that are, that we could play shorter term, you got this most recent move here just over the last weeks, and this pullback is right to the 618. So if you're looking to play this shorter term, then you'd want to see this 332 area hold. If it gives, you might get a pull down to 786, which is 326.81, back above 336.11, and you have a chance for it to, continue this move, this direction.
Yeah, and it's one of the few,
because that would be kind of the expectation, down to 50%.
And it's one of the few tech tickers that are green this morning. It's like that's what's kind of interesting about it with that flow that came in. I think that 335 level, if I'm just using flow and some of the price action that it's wanted to kind of play with, I think that 335 has to be looked at as being pivot in some capacity, as far as whether or not it can break and hold it. I think a break and hold at 335, it probably really rips higher. And that's based on the options flow that we've seen and the activity there. And kind of where it's sitting in through here. Again, one of the only tech tickers that is sitting green this morning. One of the few.
If it gets back above like 336.11, then a 50% retracement of this down move would be up at 342.
Yeah.
So that would probably be a reasonable.
And again, the reason why I wanted to bring it up, Bender, was, and thank you for the chart, was because the flow is there supporting an upside move in theory. And also that software, because of the business model that they have, is almost, acting as a cash stash in a lot of ways, because it's like, barring something just absolutely horrible, their business really doesn't get interrupted for the most part. And software continues to be something where people pump money. Continues to be. You have to have. So Microsoft should definitely, an additional supporting flow should be on watch this weekend and next week as far as what comes next, in my opinion. But thank you for that. Really interesting spot on the chart there.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
That's all I got.
Thank you, Bender. Appreciate that. Stonk, what you got, dude?
All right. I'm here. Let's get the screen going. and we'll get into some stuff. Let's see. We've got a big market moving ER coming up tomorrow. And that one is going to be CarMax. Are you guys getting my screen?
Nope.
Nope. Give that a second.
1 second. I gotta click the button.
There we go.
Okay, there you go.
Button clicked. It's time. And today on the docket, we've got, what the fuck was that? The Batmobile. CarMax, baby.
I can buy the Batmobile at CarMax?
I don't know about CarMax, but I'm pretty sure
what the hell's
CarMax.
going on?
Pretty sure CarMax sells cars. I don't know if they've got the Batmobile. But
is it original? What kind of engine does it have in it? Are there pedals instead of an engine? Is it electric? Is it gasoline? Come on, Stonk. Give us what we need in order to put out an informed guesstimation.
Well, Hells, I'm glad you asked. You, too, can cruise around the town like the 1990s Cape Crusader with the Batman Returns Batmobile. This eye-catching replica places you behind the wheel of one of the most recognizable Batman mobiles of all time and guaranteed to get you noticed on the road. That's all the information I have.
So we have no idea what the horsepower is? No idea what?
Nope. We've got a price.
We got a price.
No guesses rolling
so
in.
many-
Nobody wants a Batmobile.
So many fucking booger eaters out there, man. It's like I'll go. It's going to be something ridiculous. It's either going to be like 250 plus, or it's going to be like 80K because it's like there's no engine. It's just pedals. I
think it works.
All right, I'm going to go 199. 199.
Okay. Dollars, 100,000. Ducky's in at 225K. Green Dreams, 69K. Repeat.
I'll go 80,000.
Right, so I'm going 202 because Sooner's trying to cuck me.
All right, we got a winner. It's going to be Chad, and this one's coming in at 145K. There you go.
145. Very nice.
Well done, Chad. You get yourself.
You win a picture of a Batmobile.
And it's official, dude. It's like Sooner. This is twice you tried to get me, homeboy. It's like you got to bait your own hook, dude. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
We just talked about this not long ago, and you said you were fine baits. Okay, anyway.
I was, but he's been undercutting me on the game recently, and I'm not happy. He's not being as supportive as he was. He's targeting my action. I don't know that I appreciate such or whatnots.
This would be a great actual episode of The Price is Right. Having a meltdown on but they said $1 over mine. Right.
It'd be awesome if somebody looked over and just went like, "Really, motherfucker? You're gonna go $1 every single time?"
Damn it, Drew Carey. I'm moving over. Give me that booth. All right, here we go. Let's get into the charts. NASDAQ. I'm seeing this kind of thing. We got this guy. If they're going to do it, we got to go tag up here. We've got the gold. If we're looking downside, this you can see, we haven't stopped out this guy who went long there yet. And this is the gold would be a daily fair value gap that has room down to this 866.75. If we're gonna, hold this trend line, we could go down that way. If we're upside targets, can clearly see this open fair value gap here on the hourly, which gives us a room up to 82.75. And then the next upside target would be this open area. You can clearly see this needs to be rebalanced. We bounced, but didn't make it up to that wick down right there, which gives us room up to 186 flat. So that's kind of what we'd be looking for on the NASDAQ. If we jump over to the Russell's looking sexy over here in this big flag building out. can see, been focusing on this level here above 1881.80. We've got a little fair value gap that looks like they kind of bounced up into that would give us room up into this 85.30, and then we've got our pink line new week opening gap up above that. And then you can kind of see like it chopped so much on the way down. It's pretty clear that, you know, there's no fair value gaps in any of that. So, and even if this one up here already got kind of ran through, but I'm definitely going to be kind of keeping an eye on this big wedge trend line thing. Big falling wedge there on the Russell's looking pretty good. So, and we've seen a couple little calls in the flow on the rut W.
Correct.
So, you know, things are lining up. You know, you could if you're more of, if you don't like to do the futures, you could be watching IWM calls and flow. IWM's also been good for dark pools lately. So, kind of what I'll be watching on the Russell, but looking good for potential upside. If we jump into the individual tickers, the other big news is that Zucky Boy has called out Elon for a cage match. So I think Meta versus Tesla on the books. We've got this big rising setup here on Meta. Meta had a daily inside bar. So we could get some momentum depending on which way that daily range breaks. Can clearly see the importance of this line that I'll be using as the put trigger, 278.35. Some good reactions there. Pulled back, retest, bounce. And then we had a good dark pool. This is when Friday, OPEX, big dark pools all across the board, 281. So we can basically use that as call trigger. Oh, right. Those were kind of hard to see. So that line, 281. That would be where I'd be looking to potentially take Meta long if it was to pop that. And it's, you know, got a little bit of room if we're going to just kind of keep riding this trend line here to the upside. So we'll kind of see what we get. And then I also had to kind of, I know you guys, we looked at Microsoft, but I mentioned yesterday in the room that Microsoft was going to be the battle of the dark pools up here. And that is definitely still the case. Let's see. We've got this. These are the two that I'm going to be watching here on Microsoft in this area, 335.40 versus 322.89. The big ones above. So we really got to, if we're going to go up, we got to pop 335.40. And there was another one last night. Microsoft gets so much, but it was somewhere up right around here. It was 338.05. I posted all the dark pools in the room, but there was another one right around here. Maybe some kind of left shoulder head, right shoulder, kind of not very clean looking, but yeah, the flow was there, right? So I think it'll be a good watch. And that is all I have.
All right, very good. So we went over a couple of lines of flow. Not as far as Microsoft getting activity, Adobe getting activity. Really not seeing a lot of play action around the Microsoft. Tesla, it's like they ripped off a lot of those heavy duty leap calls yesterday. Tesla's down again this morning. NVIDIA is really, really interesting. There is a decent amount of 410 and 415 puts hanging out there on the weekly, but there are quite a few 440 calls at the same time. So if you're playing those tickers, just be aware of those lines. One thing that has been undeniable, guys, is the fact that when they come in and they start hitting daily SPX, that's the direction we go about 80 to 90% of the time. And I think I'm being a little bit, conservative in that percentage as far as market direction when they start hitting those 6-digit repetitive SPX 0 days. So let's keep a sharp eye on those. And, it's when they start hitting them, you see the first one, you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess maybe. And then 2, 3, 4. Yeah, no, we're going there. It's going to happen. So make sure you have your eye out for those. If you're scalping, if you're a longer term player, just do what you need to do. That's all I got. We do have Pal again today, correct? And then we have a couple other speakers. Is that right?
Correct.
And then let's check and see what we have for tomorrow, just because it's kind of important to do. Data wise, tomorrow China is still off, so they can be butthurt about their, what do they call them, dictator.
So did
over
you
there.
say? Did I hear you right? And you said Zuckerberg challenged Elon to a cage match?
I didn't say that. I think that was what was that?
Stonkington said that.
Yes, sir.
I can't imagine that would happen.
Elon said, "Yeah, let's go Vegas."
He did? What? No.
Is this a real thing?
Let's see.
Julian says yes.
Go.
MSNBC says it was the other way around. Oh, he was replying to the.
Send me the location. I'll take. And it's interesting, he didn't challenge Bezos because Bezos is like hell's on steroids. He's fucking jacked.
Yeah, but Elon outweighs him and is damn near twice as big as both of those.
But does he know that?
Yeah.
Has he seen the videos of? He knows Zuckerberg's like actually training for jiu-jitsu, right?
That Zuck pays people off so he can win a trophy. Yeah, no, I think he's.
Is that what happened?
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
How could you not think that it would, based on
I have no idea.
the fucking twatish existence that he lives?
Him and his coach had to clarify he didn't tap out. His struggles were misconstrued.
Right. Here we go. Just fucking fake ass motherfucker. Again,
right, well,
he stole the Facebook. He stole the face page. You
okay,
can't get around that.
I'm saying Gates stole Microsoft. Here's
That's another weird
quick chart for you.
What
do you think about this one?
Looks like chutes and ladders.
This is the Intel.
Looks like chutes and ladders. Looks like it's coming down, man.
Yeah. So 50% retracement of this move right here would come in right around this 32 level.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled this up because if I go back out to the daily and let me zoom out a bit, you can see, I mean, we all know kind of where Intel came from, in this spill down that it has taken. We also can see that it has formed a bottom. I don't think that, barring some ridiculous, I don't think we see Intel back under 25. That would really, really surprise me.
Fuck's sakes. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Right.
Do we see it back under 30?
Possible. But I would be looking, kind of right in here around this 32 level to see what kind of response it gets. Because after breaking out, right, you get that 50% retracement, 3202, the 618 down at 3076. But let's keep an eye on flow, because I would suspect that if the strength is there, that right in here around this 32 level is where we would see, buying.
I agree.
And I want to know if that's the case. If flow says, that Intel's going to continue this push up. We've talked about the fact that that you can have tickers move, counter to whatever the market's doing, and if I'm looking at the ES chart, and I've said a few times, over the last couple of days that, I'm not bearish. I'm just looking for a pullback to retest some of these levels, right? Just near term. And then I think ultimately, we push higher. I'd love to see that. I'd like to see say that 4320 area, 4330 area get tested. Another 50, 60 down from here, I think, is what I'd like to see. Well, if I'm not bearish and I'm not expecting, for us to find ourselves back down under, 4150, and I think this is just kind of a run-of-the-mill pullback. If that's the case, then I can look at some of these tickers that have lagged and, have gotten beat down as, look for potential entries. The momentum, at least in the near term for Intel, seems to have shifted. And, it's not surprising for it to pull back after that run that it had. But I'll be watching in here to kind of see what it does. I'll be listening to see what Flow says, to see if, after running to 37, pull it back to 32. And if they come in and start buying it, we've still got this gap sitting up here. There's a gap sitting up here. But realistically, I think Intel probably, goes and trades back in that 40 to 44 range. I don't know when, but probably back up in there. If you look at,
I think so too. But that whole fucking thing, as far as they're gonna like be a foundry, and we're changing our everything, and then they lay out their plan for it, and it looks like a fucking 5-year-old put it together on an Etch-a-Sketch. It's like they gotta figure it out, Bender.
Yeah, I listen. I think part of the reason that I like Intel, and that I've been obviously buying Intel over the course of the last year is because of the foundry,
right?
Because of that side of their business.
Yeah.
So
no, it's like it's hard to overlook if they can actually execute, but they just don't give a lot of warm and fuzzies that they know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. Well, regardless, this is what we've got on the chart, so it's worth keeping an eye on, I think.
All right, buddy. Thank you for that.
All right.
I'm gonna go choke down a smoke before open. We got 3 minutes to go.
If you just eat it, it's faster. All right, we'll see in a few.